Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you day 68 of my hashtag 100 days project, which I'm doing mixed media collage, small pieces. And I'm also doing the hashtag AJOS journey, which is in our Art Joy of Sharing Facebook group, art community. All month we're going to be doing collaborative projects. People have made backgrounds and painted papers and shared them, and then we are taking them, downloading them, printing them out, and using them to make our own art. So it's like a huge group-wide, worldwide art collaboration where we take someone's art and we make it into some of our own art. So I'm doing that today using some laser printed backgrounds that I printed out from the group, and that's a Facebook group. So you can come over there and join. The link is below the video. Be sure that if you ask to join, that you answer the questions that are provided by Facebook there. We don't accept people unless they answer the questions, because we need to keep the group all about sharing and about art and not about selling and not about advertising. So that's how we do it. So I don't know who made the backgrounds that I'm using today, because I was just in a big hurry to try to print them. I bought a new laser printer, an inexpensive one, a Lexmark, and I set it up this morning. Had to move some stuff around, and then I went to print some backgrounds, and I was going to be inspired by the mood board, so I wanted to print some pieces that had some of the same colors as the mood board. Every month in Art Joy of Sharing Art Community, we have a few different challenges, and one of the challenges is the mood board. This month it was made by Peg Robinson from pictures that she took while she was on holiday with her family in Florida. She went to visit them, and it's got a lot of sea and fish and water and springy looking stuff like that, flowers and things like that. And so I was being inspired by the mood board, using the backgrounds from hashtag AJOS journey, and also doing my day 68 all at the same time. Yeah. So I started my background by putting just some acrylic paint on there just to get rid of the white background. I wanted to use that kind of Tiffany blue color, and I also wanted to use the darker blues. Excuse me. Because on the mood board it had a couple different colors of water, and you know, water is really inspiring, and I wanted to do something with the water from this board. So I started out with those colors in acrylic paints, a darker blue, a white, kind of Tiffany blue, and then I moved on to some darker blues and just made like a squished acrylic paint background. Then I'm tearing up all these different papers, and I'm using those to do some collage. So I'm hand tearing them. I'm tearing away from myself so that I don't get a white edge, because this is just regular printer paper. And so when you tear toward yourself, you get a white edge. You tear away from yourself, you don't get a white edge. That's just kind of a rule there. So I'm using different ones. They're not all the same. I got different ones from different pieces of paper. And that at the bottom, I'm also doing a little bit of coral colors like the mood board has, to make kind of a sandy bottom. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Sandy bottom. But you know, the ocean or the lake or whatever you're inspired by with the water usually has mud or sand at the bottom. So that's what I'm doing with that. I've just got a couple of those different pieces, corals, browns, those type of colors. This picture in the middle of the April mood board, doesn't that look exactly like where you wish you were, with that real, the beach is more made out of like coral, and so it's got that interesting coral color, and then the water is so turquoise and pretty. I wished I was there right now. Apparently it's in Florida. So I'm just trying to create that kind of mood on my background here by gluing down all these little hand-torn strips of paper, and I'm tearing them in kind of wave shapes. I'm not tearing straight strips. I'm trying to make them like wavy, as if they were kind of waves, you know. Um, because yeah, the ocean has waves. Even lakes have waves. Everything has waves. So I'm gluing them down with Liquitex Matte Gel Medium, and I prefer the gel for most projects because it it has more tack and it gets tacky faster. So that's why I'm using that. And I'm also using a distressed collage brush from the Tim Holtz line from Ranger products. I bought some new ones so they're not as all gunked up. Like my other one has so much gunk on it. But we were talking in the group the other day about how you clean out brushes. And my preferred method is to use Murphy's oil soap and just put it straight, maybe with just a tiny bit of water to make it a little bit thinner because it's really thick. And I put that in a little plastic container and I soak my brushes for overnight or maybe even a couple days. And then I can really get all that dissolves all that acrylic gunk, and you can get them real clean if you do it that way. It also works for brayers. If you have a flat tray, you can put some Murphy's oil soap and water and let your brayer soak in there, and then all that acrylic paint that's accumulated on them will peel off. Usually you can peel it off in one big thing, and it's kind of like a skin. So on the mood board, there was a picture of a tile shaped like a fish. And this was apparently from some sort of a seafood restaurant that they went to. And I figured since I'd made this kind of oceany wavy background that I would do the fish. Why not? Fishes, they swim. They swim in the 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 ocean or lake or whatever. So I just grabbed a piece of scratch paper. When I was setting up the printer, I was doing print test pages, and I just used one of those to draw. I'm using a Corning drawing pencil, just to, just a regular drawing pencil, and drawing out the shape of the fish and adding in the little features. And this is going to be my pattern for cut paper collage. I'm kind of combining cut paper collage, also sometimes called paper piecing, with torn paper collage. All my background is torn and all the foreground is going to be cut. So once I have a satisfactory drawing, then I'm going to use some of these other papers, like these brighter colors of papers that I've printed out from AJOS Journey this month. And I'm going to use those for all my different pieces of the fish, cut pieces of the fish. So the next thing I need, I'm just kind of preparing the papers. I like to tear the white edges off the papers because it bugs me. I need to start doing my little pieces. So I started out with this light piece of paper that I like a lot. It's got a lot of interesting pattern on it. Somebody's stamped and used maybe some of the text papers and different things on it. It's a cool piece of paper. But I realized after I cut it out for my main fish body that it was too light and too much the same because I had used the same piece of, of paper up at the top on my background. And so that wasn't going to work right. That just didn't look good. So I decided to switch to a different color paper. There's another one that I printed out that has some some kind of those same corally colors and some turquoise and different stuff on it. It is a painty paper. And I decided to use that as my main fish body. So I didn't need the fins and stuff to be on there. I only needed the main part because I'm going to make the fins in different parts of the fish in different papers, like paper piecing, or you know what I mean. I'm going to do it that way. So I used a piece of very thin rice paper, and you can do this with deli paper. I usually use deli paper, but today, lately, in fact, for a couple months now, I've really been obsessed with rice paper. So I have some big packages of it, and I took a piece of it, and I'm going to use it to help me with all the different pieces of the fish. So I have my pattern drawn on that scrap paper, right? We all know that that's drawn on the scrap paper. I'm going to take this thin paper, and it has to be a thin paper because it's going to end up being sandwiched in between the top and the bottom. So it's got to be something thin. Tissue paper is too fragile to do this with. It doesn't work. It just tears, and if you get it wet at all, it disintegrates. So deli paper, which is a lightly waxed parchment paper would work if it's thin enough. And then of course rice paper is thin enough. You've got to be able to see through it. It's got to be see-through. So I went around my fish and I traced onto this rice paper all the different parts that I need for the fish. And then I'm just using glue stick because I know that I'm going to cut these pieces out and I'm going to put them onto the substrate using the matte gel medium, so I know it's going to be nice and stuck. So I just use some Yoo-Hoo gel. That's not gel, it's glue. Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and glue my different scraps onto my rice paper, which I can then flip over and I can see the line and I can cut it out. Things that you need to think about. How to explain this? If you turn it upside down when you're tracing it, if you don't, okay. All right, so you've got your pattern. You put your rice paper over the top of your pattern and you're tracing. Then you need to trace it with something that's dark enough so that when you glue the paper over the top, when you turn it over, you can see the line. That's what you need to remember. If you end up gluing the paper to the rice paper on the back side, then everything is backwards. So the fin won't be shaping right, going the right way, it won't be the right shape. All the pieces will be backwards and upside down. So you've got to glue them to the top. You trace it on the top, you glue it to the top, but you need to trace it dark enough so that the backside you can see through. And that's the reason that you need a really thin paper. For one, to trace through it, and for the other, to be able to see what you traced, because it's going to be on the other side. So I'm gluing all my little different pieces of fun colored papers and patterns over the top of the rice paper and then cutting them out. And then I kind of lay my pattern of my fish over the top to just kind of figure out where these things go and line them up. And then I'm gluing all those down with the Liquitex matte gel medium because that's going to be what's permanent. When I do collage, I put the matte gel medium on the back of the paper. I put it on the substrate so that it's nice and stuck in there, and then I press it down hard with the collage brush. Press it down, make sure that all the wrinkles and the bubbles and all the nasty stuff is out. Don't want that stuff. You just want it to be, pretty. So no bubbles, no wrinkles. There is texture, however. You will have texture because the paper, as the paper stacks on top of each other, you get the paper underneath that is a texture. Plus, this is on a canvas panel, so the texture of the panel also shows up in your finished piece. If you don't cover every single inch of it, which I didn't, because if you recall, I did put paint on the background first. So some of the areas just have paint on the canvas. So when you see the close-ups at the end, you can see that some of the canvas is still showing through. So that's just the way it works, people. So I have been having a terrible time in the last few days with every piece of art that I've made has turned out ugly, in my opinion. So that's the reason I haven't posted very many of my pieces lately. But today, I looked at them, the 3 pieces from the 3 days I didn't post, which were 67, 66, and 65. I looked at the pieces that I'd made and I just added a few things to them and a few lines or pieces of collage here and there. And all of a sudden I like them. So I posted all 3 of those ones that I hated so much I wouldn't even use them in Instagram today. So that would be the post before the post of the fish piece, because that'll be posted next after I get done with this video. get done posting this video, I'll post the photo of the fish onto Instagram. That's where I've been posting all my 100 Days Project mixed media collages. And I've been selling lots of them. I think I've sold about 15 of them so far, maybe a couple more. So if you see one that you want, email me at PaperOcotilloStudio@gmail.com or use the link there in the corner that goes to my email if you want one. Because a few people have emailed me asking for something and it's already gone, and I feel so bad. I feel so bad. It's like I wished I had more than one, but they're original art. They're only one. Also, I know that I mentioned in my March vlog that I was going to update my Teespring store, which is the products that are shown below the video. That's my Teespring store, and I hadn't updated it in so long. So I scanned some of my newer art and made some products there. So you can look at those if you want to. Just a heads up. I don't really care if you want to buy them or not. But just telling you that I did fix up the store and added a bunch of new stuff in there for you to try out. If you want to, phone cases, mugs, stainless steel tumbler, fanny pack, beach towel, and of course there's posters and maybe a canvas print of at least one of them. I just, I put some stuff in there for you guys if you want it. So after all my collage is done, I did do a little bit of torn paper. After I got all my little fins and everything on, then I did I had this one piece of paper that had this stuff that I thought looked like fish scales. It was actually a flower stencil, probably. I don't know. I didn't make these background papers, but maybe it was a stamp. But I thought it looked interesting and I wanted to use it on the main part of my fish. So I just tore some kind of crescent shaped pieces and glued those on, and made kind of pattern in the middle part of my fish. And now I am adding some India ink with my Pentel pocket brush. India ink is permanent, once it's dry, but it does have a few seconds in which I can blend it with my water tank brush. And so I'm doing that all around the features of the fish, around his fins, around his eye, everything, so that it all shows up and you can see everything from the background. After I did all this, I did add a little bit of black using the Stabilo All pencil, which is a water reactive pencil. And then I also added some detail with a white acrylic paint pen, a Posca fine tip pen, just like making little teeny tiny white dots. And you won't see me doing that because the video was done, and then I went back and added stuff and forgot to turn the video back on. You know how you do that fussing thing, like you just want to do some more stuff, and you're not really concerned about your camera anymore or whatever. That's what happened. I also did add some of Seth Apter's Ice Ink glaze in a blue color, just over the background parts, not over the fish, to kind of make that, particularly that top part, more blue. So that doesn't show up on the video either, but that's how I finished it. If you like this, please remember to give a thumbs up, comments, questions, shares, all that stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already. And here are the close-ups of the fish. There you can see a little bit of the canvas peeking through. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.